and welcome to beginning working with wordpress.com. To start out in working with our wordpress.com site, we need to talk for a second about what is the difference between wordpress.com and wordpress.org. And there's not a ton of differences. Both are WordPress in the fact that they are content management systems built with PHP. But there are a couple key differences that will determine which one that you want to work with in building your site. So let's look at WordPress.com. So looking at WordPress.com, WordPress.com comes with its own hosting. So that means that you are not purchasing additional hosting from a different third-party vendor. WordPress.com is hosting your WordPress site. Versus if we jump over to WordPress.org, WordPress.org means that you are going to download the WordPress plugins and package in and of itself, and you're going to put that onto your own hosting. You can also, if you set up your own hosting, you set up your own WordPress site through your hosting, that's a WordPress.org site. So that's having that freestanding software that you can update and use how you would like to. So the big difference is who is hosting. WordPress.com, you're using their hosting. WordPress.org, you're providing and paying for your own hosting. And also you can self-host your own WordPress blog. So if you have your own server or if you're just working in a development space, you can self-host on your own machine while you work and develop that site. So another big difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org is .com has its own ads. So if you build a WordPress.com site, particularly a free site, which we're going to do in this exercise, that's going to have its own ads that you can't control. So there will be ads that will show up on your site and you have no control over what those ads are. Typically, they might be something that would go with what your site is about. However, you can't control who is advertising, and in that way, you cannot monetize your site. So you're not making money off of your site in the way that you could if you had a WordPress.org and people paid to advertise on your site. So it's a difference in monetization if you were trying to monetize your blog. WordPress.com is easier to start up on. So with a couple clicks, you can simply just hit start your website, create an account. It's totally free. And within a couple minutes, you are building a live website right out there that people can go to and look at. So you can get up and running with WordPress.com in a very, very short amount of time and have a live website that people can come see. So that's a really nice thing about WordPress.com. WordPress.org, again, you're having to purchase a separate URL and hosting for your site. So it may take you a little bit more time. Also, there's a startup cost involved in that. Versus WordPress.com. If you're wanting to go totally free with this, you can go completely free and have a site live on the web. WordPress.com has limited access to themes and plugins. So if you're going with a completely free plan, you're not really allowed to upload any plugin. You can only use what comes with that platform already, so what's kind of already built in out of the box. Whereas WordPress.org, you can add or purchase as many themes and plugins as you wish to use. Any of those free themes, free plugins, you can just immediately start putting those into your site and working with them. WordPress.com has limited space, particularly on a free plan. You can upgrade those plans to different paid tiers. However, that free plan is really going to limit how big your site can get. So it's great if you're working as a beginner, as a basic site. You can start this a real simple website very quickly and easily on WordPress.com. However, if you're wanting to build a bigger custom site, WordPress.org, or if you're trying to work in a developer space, WordPress.org would be the way you would go versus a WordPress.com. So for the remainder of this video, we are going to be working in WordPress.com. So let's go ahead and get started in building that free website. So I'm going to go ahead and start the big old button that says Start Your Website. And let's get started. So you need to create your WordPress.com account. Now you have to have a valid email address for this to work because it's going to email you. You're going to have to validate all of those things. So go ahead and enter in your email address. and set up your password. And you'll go ahead and click create your account. So it says, let's get started with a site and a domain. So you can type in the type of domain that you want here. And it's going to go ahead and pop up some of the different options for you. So you'll notice if some of the good, like the better URLs are going to come with a registration fee. So they will renew. You may get it free today, but after a year, you're going to have to start paying these fees. So be careful of those different fees. If you want a really disgusting looking URL, which is what we're going to do, obviously they have a nice, like this is nice, it's free today. That's our recommendation. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with the completely free. And I'm going to select this absolute free, gross wordpress.com site. And then you get to this thing where it says, hey, what plan would you like to work on? And so these different tiered pricing makes a difference on, is it personal use, freelancer where you can have multiple sites, business, and e-commerce. So it's important to kind of look through. If you're not sure what you want to use, start looking at the different features that you get with this. If you're wanting to stick with a WordPress.com site completely as you move through, you'll notice that basically at the business level, you can start uploading your own themes and plugins. Prior to that, you really can't use a lot of those custom themes and plugins. We're just going to skip all of this because I'm going with a totally free, completely free version of my site. So if you said not sure yet, start with a free site. Boom. That's all you have to do. And my free site is going to be up and running here in just 1 minute. There we go. That's it. My site has been created. Wonderful. So you'll see that it pops up. Your site's been created. Let's go ahead and click Get Started. First thing, name your site. Sounds good. So this is going to be the site title. That's what pops up here in your tab. So I'm going to call this graphic design. I'm just going to call it a test site because this is my test site. I can give it tagline. Yeah, I'm almost done. Thank you. I'm going to give my site a tagline so that lets people know what this is about. So if you had a tagline to go along with anything that you're doing, so whatever my site tagline is, creating an awesome WordPress site. That's what we're doing today. This is my site address, so if I wanted to send this out to the world, I clearly don't, or I'd buy a better URL. So then the language of your site, I'm going to stick in English. If you want something else, you can see that this gives me some different options to set the site language. You can go through different regions of the world. English is good for me. And then time zone, so set it to the time zone that you're in. That will make a difference for what you're using and when your blogs and things are posted, so if you're scheduling releases on that. And then a site icon. So we can change the site icon here, which is your favicon. But I'm going to save my settings first because if I hit change, it's going to go away and not save those things, so I'll have to retype them. So if I hit change, this is actually going to take me to my customizer for my new site. So you can actually see a little bit of the preview of my site that I've created. So I can select a logo. Here's some of the site title and tagline that I've put in, and then I can upload an icon. And it's important to note that they give you a minimum of 512 by 512. Site icons should be square. So when you're setting this up, you'll want to set up a square PNG file that's at least 512 by 512 pixels, and then you can do that by hitting select site icon. So when I click on select site icon, that's going to open up my media library. So I can drag and drop files into this to upload them, or I can click on the button that says select files, and that will allow me to browse my computer to go ahead and select the images that I would like to. I'm going to navigate to my folder that I've set up with my favicon in here. So I'm going to click open, and that's going to go ahead and upload. And I can see when I upload that this is set to 512 by 512 pixels, cute little paw print. In this area, I can also set up some of my details with this image. So right here is where I'm going to set the alt text for this image. You want to do that for every image you upload into WordPress. It makes your site much more accessible, and it is always the right thing to do, is to always have alt text to accompany any of your images that you use. So I'm just going to say paw print icon. Short, sweet, and to the point. I could give it a caption and a description. It doesn't really need a caption because it's going in there. This has the URL for where that's set, so if I needed to use that someplace else in my site, I could copy that URL, and I'm going to hit select. Now that's gone ahead and popped it in here, so it's going to give me a little preview of what that favicon is going to look like when I save this for my site. So I need to go ahead and hit save changes. If I exit anywhere out of here, it'll prompt me and say, hey, you haven't saved stuff. So I'm going to click save changes. And now that it's saved. So now that I've got that customized for my site identity, I can click back and I can start working with some of these other pieces that I may want to customize within my site. Or I can click X to close out of here, and that will take me back to my my dashboard where I can start working on other places within my site. So now that we're back here on the wordpress.com dashboard, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that are present on the dashboard. So to the left here, this is kind of your place to go to different areas of your site. So within the site you have pages, posts, media, comments, and feedback. The most important three things you're going to work with are pages, posts, and media. So your pages are the various pages that you create for your website. Much like any other website, they have different pages that you go to, such as a home, about, a contact. Those are your pages. Posts are different than pages in that your posts would be things that, if you think about a blog post, that can be displayed on different pages within your website. So when you write a post, you can decide where that post is going to appear within your website, how often it's going to appear. You can schedule posts so they appear in different times. So if you have a running theme on to the side on your home page, that can update with new posts as you update your site. So posts and pages are different things. Media is your media library, so that is where you're going to house all of your images and any other media that you're going to use within your site. If we scroll down to this design area, there's a couple things under here. So customize, theme, and themed. So customize will allow you to customize the theme that you already have. Themes, on the other hand, will show you different themes that are available for you to use. That's already pre-built into wordpress.com. So many of these are free. You're not allowed to upload your own theme within this free plan, but you can select any of these free ones to begin working with in your site. So I recommend looking through here, and particularly in a free plan, you want to make sure that whatever theme you pick fits in line with the design that you want the site to look like. So when you pick a different theme, so I'm just going to pick, let's say I'm going to pick this Xford one. So I can take a look at it. I can go to a live demo. So let's go ahead and pop open a live demo of what that looks like. This is what that site looks like. Looks really nice. It's pretty cool. So I get a look and feel of what that's going to be like. I can also preview it on tablet and on the mobile to see how is that site going to look. So it's important to just spend some time in here and figure out what theme you would like to work with. When you decide on a theme that you say, yes, this is going to work for the site, the look, the feel that I would like, you simply click on Activate. And it will say, would you like to do this? It's automatically going to change the way your site looks and feels. So you want to set yourself on a theme prior to really building this site, because if you've got a really established site, you don't want to go back and change the theme because it can really mess things up. You want to select a theme early on and usually stick with that. So I can say yes, activate, export, no, keep my current theme. Since I haven't done really anything with this site, I'm going to say yes, go ahead and activate. It's going to take a hot second and then it will activate that theme. So now that's activated, I can click View Site and see how my site now looks within this theme. There we go. There's my site title that you saw me type in. And then it's got all those default things that came with that original site. You can see I've got my favicon that we've set up here. So now that we've got that kind of set up, now I want to get into a little bit more of the building. So now that I have set my theme for the site, I want to start building and designing my site. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate over on the left side of the page and go to where it says Pages. And you see that by default, your site has been created with some dummy pages to it. So let's take a look at that home page. So I know that when I preview it, it looks like this. This is my home page, which, you know, there's that theme that we decided that we were going to use for this site. So let's see what it looks like on the back end when I click into it. And there we go. This is what this looks like on the back end. Now I can go ahead and edit this. So I'm in edit mode. I can also go into selection mode and I can start to edit some of these different blocks that are here. So if I click on the text, I can type in anything else and say, welcome to my site. This is a test site for a demo video. Great. And then I can simply move down. So if I click on this button, I can see that that pulls up Explore Offers. This is populated with, so if I said, oh, no, I want to edit something else, I can, let's delete that button. I could put something else on my site. I could link it to a different page. Let's just link it to, great. Press enter to add that link. Now that's hyperlinked. So I can say open that in a new tab, or if I want to open it in the same tab. So let's go ahead and open a new tab. That sounds good. So let's say I want to do something different with this whole thing. Let's say I don't like this block at all. So if I don't like this block, I can go ahead and click on this little 3-dot button here, and it gives me a whole lot of my block settings. So I could copy this block, I could duplicate it and have 2 blocks, I can insert something before or after it, I can move it, I can group it, or I can add it to a reusable block. So if there's a block that you've designed that you want to use on multiple pages, I highly recommend saving that to a reusable block, or I can remove blocks. So let's pretend I want to get rid of this whole thing. I'm going to remove that block, and it's gone. So that's an easy way to delete that. So Command Z does work on WordPress. So JK, I really do want that block. I'm just going to Command or Control Z and it's back. Cool. So anytime you click on any of these elements, you'll see this little menu pop up, and that has the elements. So as you click and drill in, this would be for this entire block. You see how it highlights. So if I click replace, I can replace this image. I don't have much in my media library, but I'm going to swap it out with this picture. There we go. I can upload. If I don't have the photo that I want yet, I can upload a photo there. So that's looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and insert a new block. So I click the insert after, and then if I click the little plus button, that's going to give me all the options for the blocks that I can use. So it's going to give me by default some of the most common ones. So paragraph would be a block of text. a little calendar, donations, contact info. Let's hit browse all and see what we've got here. So you'll see that there are a lot of different things here, a heading, a list, a block quote. If you're familiar with HTML, things like pre-formatted text, verse, I can put in different media. So different images, different galleries. If I would like multiple images, a video, I can add separators, column layout. So if I want multi-columns for different things, let's go ahead and grab a column layout for right now. So there we go. I click column layout. This gives me the options for what types of columns I would like, whether it's 2 columns, 3 columns, that 1/3 and 2/3, 2/3 and 1/3, and then a quarter, half, and a quarter. Let's go ahead and do a 2-column layout. Great. So now that I have that, I can insert what I would like to go here. So search for a block. I can type in image, upload an image, select an image, or insert from a URL. I'm going to go ahead and upload an image here. Let's go ahead and grab that stock photo that I have. And now that photo is up. It actually pulls the metadata from the photo, so that's what the metadata that comes in with there. So I can go ahead and edit this if I don't want that to be there. If I want this to say, nice red bedroom. Great, I can make that bold, text bold, italic. I can put a link in there. I can also, if I click the drop down, there's a lot more options there to go ahead and set your text. So that looks nice. I can click the other plus, and let's go ahead and put in a paragraph. So I'm just going to edit some type here. Writing some copy. There we go. So that looks nice, and I can keep working down the page. I can edit these pre-formatted selections here. Ideally, you would delete most of these and start building your own stuff, but you can delete what they have or create a new page. So once I get done, I want to go ahead and hit update, and this will save my work for me. So the page is now updated. I can click the preview button and I can see a nice preview for what this site's going to look like. There we go. There's some of the new changes that I made. And then I can view again. I want to check how it's going to look on that mobile responsiveness. And you can see that there's a nice breakpoint with my, my 2-column layout that I did. And that looks great. I'm going to go ahead and hit close on that. And I'm going to keep working. So if I'm editing some of these block elements, I can click into them and I can see some of the things that it has already pre-populated for me. So this like explore the world, it's at an H2 level. So if I said I don't really want that to be H2, I can set it to a different heading level, and that's going to change based upon the pre-populated styles that a theme has. So it by default already has some of these CSS styles brought in with them. It's a little tricky on a free plan to edit some of these pre-built styles, but you can go ahead and change some of those. So this is, if I want to change it from left to center, that looks pretty cool. I can move it down below. I can move it up. If I wanted the button in front of it, I could add a hyperlink, italic. Again, that button is say, okay, do I want to add that to a reusable block? Do I want to edit it in any other way? So there's always the option, if you would like to edit the code for this site as opposed to working with this visual builder, you can go ahead and edit that code at any time within these little drop downs. So edit as HTML, and now I can see here's a paragraph, has text align center, and then that's in there. So if I wanted to say has text align of left, I could edit that HTML tag. I'm going to go back to edit visually. If I want to edit the entire page from the code view, I can jump up to this header up here if I click on those three dots again, those three dots are your little hamburger menus. And then I can go to a code editor, and that's going to pull up the code for this site. So be careful when you're in here. It has a lot of that default styling. So it's calling for default paragraphs, default headers. So it's not like you're building this from jump. There's a bunch of pre-written code that it's going to be referencing. So while you can go in here, sometimes that's helpful to kind of see what's going on behind the scenes if you're having difficulty, but just be aware that some of these have already been predefined by the theme. So click back into my visual editor and close that out. So if you would like to see the list view for your whole page, this kind of gives you a nice outline of what is happening, where I've got a cover, the columns that I entered, and I can click into any one of these and see here's how this is set up: column, image, column, paragraph. So if you're imagining how these blocks are structured, this will show you a nice outline for what is actually happening here as well. That's pretty helpful from a site mapping perspective to see that outline. So if I come down to here and look at this, then I can see the outline for this. Here we go, we've got a spacer column. Here's the column image, heading, paragraph, button, and then another spacer. So that's what's in that entire block. So it's fairly helpful to look through that. So now that I've got this I'm going to click update one more time just so I know that I've got my site all saved. And then I'm going to exit back out into my dashboard. So click on the W, go back to view pages, and I'm back to my dashboard and I can see my other pages. So now that I've added one of my pages, I'm going to show you how to create some posts. So I'm going to click over into posts, and by default it's going to give you some of these example posts. So I kind of want to delete some of these, or and I will edit one of them, but then we're going to go ahead and create a new post. So introduce yourself example post. This is an example post. You can view this link. So ideally I would have some content written here that I could get rid of. Let's remove some of these blocks. And I'm going to say brand new post. Going to type here and then add an image. So this is why typically I don't update from the default ones, because you're going to end up having to delete a lot of this stuff. But let's go ahead and I'm going to kind of ignore that, and I'm going to go ahead and add in a block. So I can click that plus button here. I can also click a plus button here and add something new. I want to add in a nice image. So I'll just click image, pop that in here. I'm going to upload, grab one from my stock gallery here. There we go. It's going to take a hot second. These images were not sized for web. Be sure to always size your images for web, because it's going to affect my loading time. So always be sure that you do that. Great, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to hit update. Great. So post is updated. Let's go ahead and view this post. There we go, brand new post. You can see who posted it, when did they post it. Notice that it says uncategorized. So typically if you're writing a lot of blogs or posting a lot of things to your sites, you're going to add categories. And then I can also edit that. So that's not going to show up for your user. But that is my post. So let's go ahead and get back into our dashboard. All right, so let me click on my little W to get back into my site. And that looks pretty good. So when you're creating a new site, you get this nice little checklist for creating your site. So I think the last thing we really need to do is create our site menu. So let's go ahead and create the site menu. So to create my menu for my site, I need to go down into the design area and click on Customize. So this will take me back to where we set up the site identity, and then I'm going to go down to Menus. If you haven't verified your email for WordPress, this may be grayed out for you. And then I'm going to click on Menus. So by default, it's set up this kind of default menu for me. It says Primary is currently set to Primary. So if I click in on that, I can change the name. I don't have to call it Primary. I think Primary is fine. And then it shows me home, blog, about content. So these are the default pages that have come with my site. So if I say, I want the blog page to be last, I can reorder these and simply click the down arrow and say, all right, blog, you need to move down. And move it down like that. And you see how that's going to reorder those. I can also move it to be a sub page. So now under contact, now I've got a drop down for that. So by clicking the left right arrows, I want that to be main level. That looks good. Whenever you get it to where you like it, you can click done. You can add items. So if you said, I'm just starting this site, I don't have all my pages done yet, you can check on automatically add new top level pages to this menu. So as you create pages, it will by default add them to your site. You don't have to come back into this menu and say, no, please add these to my primary navigation every single time you add a page. So you can check that on. If you would like a footer menu, you can put that down in your footer as well. Scroll all the way down. There we go. There's my menu down in my footer. So if I said no thank you, then it's going to disappear. I can add a social links menu. And then that will place this up top. So I would need to go ahead and edit that and add my social media into it, which I don't have set up at this moment. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. There we go. That looks much better. Looks a little chunky there. And now that I've got that, I'm going to click Save Changes. And that saved my menu. So I can get back out into here. I could create a new menu if I'd like to. Here's my social ones. So if I said I want to customize these links, facebook.com, that'll open Facebook, Twitter. And that will turn on those correct social media links. So if you said, I don't really want these, you can hit remove. So if I don't actually have a WordPress account, let me remove that one. There we go. And that looks much better. There we go. Let's hit Save Changes one more time to make sure everything's saved. It's never a bad thing to hit save as you're working, just in case you accidentally get clicked out of something, you haven't lost your work. All right. Now we've done our menus. That all looks pretty good. Let's go ahead. It's saved. Let's go ahead and close out of here. And you can see that that's checked off. Great. Now let's go ahead and launch that site. Fantastic. See, now if you notice this has changed, it says you're ready to launch. Let's go ahead and click Launch Site. So this will make this site now public to the world. Prior to launching your site, it's only visible to you. So maybe you want to wait until your site's completely done to launch it. That's your prerogative. You can always get in and edit it at different times, but once you launch your site, it is live to the world. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Launch Site. It's going to take one hot minute. I'm going to hit Skip Purchase because I do not want to purchase it and continue with that free site. Whew. Keeping it free. You launched your site. Great. Let's go ahead and visit that site. Huzzah! Here it is. Live and ready for the whole world to check out. So let's quickly go over some of the blogging categories and different settings that you would need to set up for your site, particularly if you're going to be adding blog posts. So I've clicked back into my settings. And here's the general one for the site icon. There's a couple more tab things up here. Let's explore those. So under performance, by default, I have accelerated mobile pages. I'm going to leave that on just to help the load time of my site. Again, when you're on the free plan, WordPress is going to constantly remind you that it would like you to upgrade to a paid plan, to a business plan. I'm going to click over into writing, and I can see under categories I have one blog post default category, which is uncategorized. So if I click into there, I can add new categories to my posts, and it's important to categorize your posts. It helps people when they search for it. Also, if you start building a really robust site, you can, and somebody was looking for a certain thing, it'll go ahead and filter some of those posts so they can find what they're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new category to this. I don't really have a theme for my site yet, so I might, if I was doing, let's say, a nutrition blog, I might do recipes. So all of my tasty recipes will go here. So I could make that a top level category, or I can have it have a parent category. So if you have sub-levels, so if I was doing something like all recipes, so I could have desserts, appetizers, things like that. So, but I'm going to go ahead and leave that as a top level, and I'm going to click add. Great, now I have a new category that I can add. Let me add one more just to show you kind of that child category. So I'm going to say desserts. Go here, and I'm going to go ahead and choose my parent category, which would be recipes, and I'm going to hit add. So there I go. Now you can see that that has the parent and the child categories to it. So I can edit that, I can delete it, I can set it as a default. So if you don't want your post to by default be uncategorized, you could set that to a default. So if your primary blogging purpose was to post recipes, you could set that as the default. And now anytime I write a new blog, it will, unless I change it, it will always fall under recipes. So that's where you can add categories to your posts. So let me click back, and then you can also add tags to your site. So it's helpful for search engine optimization to add these categories and tags. So let's say that I want to tag different recipes. So a new tag name might be chocolate for desserts, and hit add. There we go. So now I've got a tag. So I can add more tags, so if I need to tag any of my blog posts to fit within those categories and then to pull up, I can do that as well. So that's really important. It's a lot of pre-planning and thought when you're creating blog posts to go ahead to add those tags and to add those the categories, but it's going to make your readers have a much easier time of finding where they want to go in your site. Default post format, by default we only have that, so date and time. So if you would like your date and time to start a different show in a different way, you can do that. So September, this right now shows like this. If I wanted it to be something different or something custom, when does your week start? Does it start Monday, Tuesday? I'm going to leave that pretty standard. I like the September 17th, but if you wanted it to read like that, so that's the date and time format. Content types. So blog posts display 10 per page. So once you have more than 10 blog posts per page, you're going to get multiple pages that people can scroll through. Testimonials. If people are able to write testimonials onto your theme, we don't have that because, again, this is a free site, but if you were to enable like a testimonials plugin, people could write testimonials on your site. Portfolio projects, again, we're going to have a difficult time with a free thing, so that's good. Podcasts, so there's a lot of things that you can set up in this area. So as you're building a site, particularly if you're in a paid site, this is a good place to make sure that things are showing up correctly. Theme enhancements, load post as you scroll. That will speed up the load time so it's not waiting for the whole page to load. And let's go ahead and hit Save Settings. I think we have all the settings saved. And then discussion. So if you allow people to write comments on any of your blog posts, if you've been on blogs and you've seen people comments, this would be where you allow some of those settings to have. So users must be registered and logged into comments. They must fill out their name and email, automatically close comments on articles older than. So if you're saying, I wanted to close discussion on something, enable threaded nested comments. You can read through some of these. Email me. You may want to turn that off. So if your site is live and you have no way for people to kind of filter out users, you may get all kinds of comments or posts. I like to keep comment as held for moderation, just that keeps spam off of your site. So you will get notified if somebody comments. You have to approve them in order to let them go. So if you want to have people get emailed pretty much constantly, you can turn those on. I'm going to turn that off. I don't want an email anytime somebody posts a comment. I want a comment must be manually approved. So I want to approve them. Hold comments in a queue if it contains 2 or more links. So if somebody's spamming you, you could say 1, people can't. So these are kind of important to set up too, even on a free setting, because like this site is live to the world. People can come out, they can write things on your site. So you want to just be aware of making sure your site isn't getting spammed. Also that you're not getting emailed constantly because you're getting spammed. So I'll hit Save Settings. And then I've gone ahead and updated some of these blogging settings. So now that we've added some of those posts to our page, I'm going to show you how to create another post and add in some of those tags and those categories. So I'm going to jump back into my dashboard here, and then I'm going to scroll up to Posts, and I'm going to create a new post. So from this page, I'm going to pretend that I'm going to create a recipe for chocolate cake. So now that I've titled that, I'm just going to put in a little bit of filler text here. So I've got some text. Now, when I'm in this creating my my post, let's say I've got this all done, I'm ready to go. There's some settings that I can work with this. So if I click over on the side view here, if this isn't showing, you may have to click your little gear icon. So if the gear pops down, you have 2 little menus here. One says block and one says post. So the block tab allows you to edit things about the block itself. The post is going to be dealing with the post that you are writing. So you have some options here. One is visibility. If you want to make this private or password protected. Private is a good way if you've written a post that you may not want to put out there for everybody. Let's say it needs to go to review for some reason. You can make it private or password protected so people can go look at it. I'm going to leave mine to public because I do want it to be public. Publish immediately. You can schedule your post to publish. So a lot of times bloggers will sit down and have posts written and in the can. So it looks like they may be publishing daily, but they may sit down and write everything on one day and then have it publish periodically through the week. You can stick it to the top of your blog. You can have it pending review. So it may need, in case you're sending it out for review, you can trash it if you'd like to. If you would like to type in a custom permalink that this will go to, you can have something else. Right now it's defaulting to the title of my post, which I think is pretty good. And then there's those categories that we created. So by default I have the ones that I created. Here's my top level category, here's a child level. So I can put this in recipes and then desserts. So if I was writing a whole lot of different categories, I could do that. I can also add a new category here if I wanted to add another one. and I can type in the new category. I can set it as a parent category and click add new category. So if it needed a parent from there, and then I can tag this. So you want to add some tags to your post. It helps with the searchability of that post. So if I wanted to add in a tag of chocolate, if I wanted to tag it as, this was a frosted cake, frosting, to hit comma to separate, or enter to separate your tags. If I wanted to make this say an easy recipe, easy recipe. And so think of, like hashtags that you put on social media posts. These tags allow your any of your posts to be a little bit more searchable, a little bit more custom. So if you think of what people are going to search for when they get to your site, what would keywords that they may be putting in on your search that's going to help them find this post. You can add a featured image. So that's recommended for optimal use. So let's go ahead and navigate to an image. And I'm going to pause this and add one into my media library. So I went to Unsplash and grabbed a picture of a chocolate cake. So I'm going to hit select image. I'm going to go to media library, and I'm going to hit that add new button. I'm going to navigate into my downloads. I'm going to grab that JPEG. And you can see just by doing this is just as it was downloaded from the internet. You should size your images to the web, and I'll do a quick refresh in this tutorial video on how to size your images for the web. You can see it's already taking a ton of time to upload. So now that I got that image, I'm going to click insert, and that will insert my featured image. You can write an excerpt. So sometimes that's helpful for people who want a little brief about it. Discussion, you can allow comments, so people can write comments on your post, allow pingbacks and trackbacks. So if you're doing any kind of Google tracking on your site, you can do that as well. So I'm not going to allow comments or pingbacks. I'm just going to uncheck those because I don't really want people to discuss this. Pretend this is all written out and looks lovely, and I'm going to hit publish. Sure you're ready to publish? Absolutely. So double check everything. It's good about reminding you, and I'm going to hit publish. Post is published. Now I can go ahead and view my post. So there we go. There's my massive, massive image. This is going to be a post about chocolate cake. It's going to have a great recipe. So everything I wrote, you can share my post. That's great. Looks pretty good. So, and you can see there are my tags. That looks nice. What it's filed under. Awesome. Excellent post right there. So I want to fix this picture just a little bit before I move on with my life. This would be terrible for SEO because this image is so large. It's going to take a lot of loading time. I want to size it down for web just so that you saw how slow it was to upload. Let's go ahead and size that quick. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into Photoshop. I've already got that open. And let's take a look at this photo. So if I go under image mode, I want to double check that it's RGB, and it is. Great. Let's go to image size. Oh my Lanta, it is 12,000 pixels big by 8,000 pixels. That is huge. It is 274 megabytes. Wow, that's going to really slow down my loading time. I don't need it to be nearly that big. So let's pretend, like, just as a nice refresh, if I was actually printing this, I would hit resample, and I would set this to 300 pixel. So this would still print at 40 inches, which is crazy town, as opposed to 166 inches. So this is set lovely for print. So if I was printing this, I could still print this in a poster size image. I'm not going to. This is going to be for web. So I'm going to uncheck resample. I'm going to make sure this still says pixels so I don't get confused. And I'm going to drop out just one of those zeros. There we go, 1200 by 800. And look at how much smaller that got. 2.75 megabytes as opposed to 275 pretty much. So that took a lot of that out. I'm going to hit OK. Great, that's a much smaller image. I can zoom in. It's still a nice big image for web. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go File, and I'm going to go Export. I'm going to hit Save for Web. I love Save for Web because this gives me all the options. So it's about looking at how big my image is. So I'm going to drag this out a little bit so you can see. And I click on Yours may default to optimized. I'm going to click on 4-up because I can see the differences between. So these are all showing me as a GIF. Definitely don't want a GIF. GIFs only can handle 256 colors, so I definitely want JPEGs. You would always want a JPEG for a photographic image or a photo that doesn't have any transparency settings. This is just a solid photo. There's no opacity anywhere to it, so I want it to be a JPEG. So if I look at this one, I can set the quality. That's at 60% quality. Maybe I set this one to 80% quality, which is very high. And then this one to all the way up to 100. And then if I zoom in on these images, I can see the difference in when I take the quality down. So it's important to look at how long your loading speed would be. So if I set it 60% quality, this will load at 22 seconds at 56 kilobytes per second. This one is 94 seconds, 40 seconds. Well, I think I'm gonna strike a nice place somewhere in the middle. I'm gonna say 80% quality, 216K. That's pretty good. I'm gonna select that one and I'm gonna hit save. I'm gonna go ahead and save over that image. Go ahead and replace it. There we go. And now I'm going to re-upload that into my WordPress site. So I'm going to hit edit on my post. I'm going to scroll down to feature image and I'm going to hit replace image. I'm going to hit add new. And there's the one we just saved, 222 kilobytes as opposed to 275 megabytes. That's substantially, and this will load much faster. I actually had to pause the recording to allow that to load. It was so slow. And this came in within a couple seconds. I'm gonna hit insert, and I'm gonna hit update. And now I can view the post. So it's not quite as large. It didn't go fully to the width. That's okay. I don't mind those margins on the side, but the loading speed of this page is much faster. That still looks very nice on my screen, but that's going to speed up my loading time on my site substantially. So I think I'm much happier with this. There is my new post that is tagged and categorized, so that way as I continue to build my blog, it's easy for people to search for the content that they are looking for. So now that I've talked about searching for different posts and things on your site, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to add in that search bar onto your site. So I'm going to navigate back to my dashboard here, and I'm going to scroll down to WP Admin. And that's going to open up a little bit more what you kind of see on wordpress.org, slightly more in-depth dashboard, but this is still your site. And I'm going to scroll down to Appearance. And then I'm going to go to widgets. Once I click on widgets, there's a bunch of these default widgets that appear within your WordPress thing. So I can do custom HTML, Eventbrite, Facebook page plugin. There's a lot of awesome things in here. So I encourage you to jump into this and check out MailChimp subscriber. If you want somebody to subscribe to your list, that's pretty cool. So I want to go scroll down there in alphabetical order. I'm going to look for search. It says a search form for your site. So when I click on that, it says I have the option to add this to my footer. So that's going to be defined by your theme. I'm going to hit add widget. And if I come up to the top of my page here, you can see that that widget is now going to appear in my footer. And then I can give it a title. So I could just call it search. I can call it search my site. Whatever you would like to title that thing, so you can just write the title in there, and then you'll hit save. Great. That is now visible on my page. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'm going to click back over here. And I'm going to click on right up top that says View. And I'm going to hit Visit Site. Here we go. I can see my site as it is since that widget went into my footer. If I scroll down, there's my Search My Site. So I can type in here. I'm going to type in chocolate since we tagged that. And I'm going to hit Search. And then I get search results for chocolate. Here's that tagged recipe that we just posted. So that worked out great. So think about that as you create posts to make sure that you are tagging them with keywords, that you're categorizing everything. And even before you start your site, have some intention for how you want content to start appearing on that site and what a little bit of a game plan for how you're going to organize your content. It's very helpful as you progress in making your site. So now that you've seen some of the basics on how to get started in working with the free version of wordpress.com, I encourage you to start, create your account and start playing around with all of the settings that are available to you, being aware that, of course, not everything is going to be available when you are on a free plan, but that it's very, very powerful and you can create some really cool sites and with great content just by the power of your imagination. So get started, and thank you for watching this tutorial.